Who knew I would make it this far? They hated, they never believed me. Yeah, I would never drop the ball. I know I make it look easy. Yeah, Mayweather with the defense. I don't care what a critic gotta say. I got them picking up the pieces. That to me, you really playing with your life. I'm about to come and run it all back. I'm the new era, about to snap back. You ain't fitted for it, cause you all cap like. Hold up, I shoot my shot. Wait, hold up. I'm really about to run this. Go up.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Spot Real Talk. My name is Tiara.
I'm Tiffany.
Hey, I'm Ron.
And today we are having a roundtable discussion. We have some of our friends of the show on with us. Nita, would you like to get us kicked off? State your name and location.
Yes, I'm Nita the Diva from the DMV area.
Okay, next up, don't be afraid, just hop right in.
I'm Ron H. from Still Nick Fans in Brooklyn, New York.
And I'm Khadijah. I'm from Rewind That with Miss K. Unfortunately, that's not what it says on there, but I'm from Brooklyn, New York. I live in South Jersey right now.
Excellent.
Okay.
I'm Moochilla I'm Moochie from Moochilla's Reviews, and I'm from Queens, New York.
Right, Moochie.
And
New York representing.
Yep. Who we got next?
I'm Monique Nicole from Atlanta, Georgia.
All right.
I'm Hassan from Philly.
Welcome back. And last but not least, I think
Elton.
Okay, yeah. I am Elton from the DMV.
all right, DMV representing.
Represent.
So thank you guys all for joining us today. As you know, we have a special guest. So Ron, would you like to bring our guest in?
Yes, I will.
Ron H.
Hey.
Yeah, my man.
Marvelous.
Oh my goodness. Yes.
I was just talking about you.
Hey, how are you?
No complaints. How are you guys?
We're
Doing good.
Good.
We are really happy to have you back on the show again. Thank you for always showing us so much love. And, you know, we did get to meet you in person at the New York event for Raising Kanan premiere. So just happy to have you again.
Yes, I'm glad we can do it again. I'm glad it's something to talk about. So that works for me.
Oh, yeah. And this time we're doing it roundtable style. So we got a bunch of our guests on here who love you and your work on Raising Kanan as Uncle Marvin. So for those of you that don't know, this is London Brown. And he's killing it.
There's a bunch of people here?
Yes.
Yeah,
Oh, okay. That's awesome. Great.
So,
you know, there was a special request for you. We understand that you're a fan favorite. So
yes.
that's why we reached out again, because we were told that you are a fan favorite.
yeah.
You know, if anybody cares for what I'm doing, that's always appreciated, man, because I know we got a show full of talented people.
Yeah.
So people, you know, are even paying attention to me. So that's cool, man. That's all right.
Yeah. So we got a lot on the panel today. So I'm going to kick it off with Ron first. So get us started.
What's up, London?
Wait, what's happening, man? What's happening?
I'm good, man. Here's my question for you. Now, I love the way you're trying to reach out to Jukebox, but you haven't said the magic words yet. I'm sorry. Now, I know that fist bump, you know, put something in your heart, because that seems to me that she's coming around to you. But why haven't you been able to just say, I'm sorry?
I think people got to understand when we talk about a character like Marvin, first of all, Marvin went to therapy because it was court appointed. Mm-hmm. So we're talking about a guy who's very complex. If it was easy for him to say sorry, he also wouldn't, necessarily be the guy carrying a gun either. So Marvin has a lot of layers to him. So just to even sit down in therapy class, that's one layer. For him to open up and share his thoughts with the therapist, that's another layer. The fact that, Marvin is even trying to communicate, that takes a lot of pride. He gotta really be vulnerable enough to feel like, to even go there. That's why Rock, in one of the previous episodes, Rock had to check him. And it took her a minute. gonna let him handle it. But so Marvin is being revealed to himself in the same process. So, I don't know if those words were ever come from him, but Marvin has his own way of doing lots of things. So that's something that we'll have to kind of see play out. But to your question, he's a very layered individual who's trying to work through his own stuff. Okay. So I don't know if he's been able to forgive himself yet. So it's hard to try to do that when even trying to include anybody else into that process.
Right. That is a good point. Yep. And Tiffany, we're going to come your way next.
Yeah. Before I get into my question, I just want to give you some props about your art this season and everything, because we all know you have comedic chops, but you are showing off with the dramatics, sir. I mean, you are doing your thing this season, and I wanted to know about last night. Like, you were supposed to be laying low. Why did you go see Miss Renee? I mean, I know why. You were excited. You excited because you had a breakthrough with Jukebox. But I was like, you knew you were supposed to be laying low. So why didn't you lay low?
Well, first, thank you. I appreciate that. And then secondly, you guys know way more about the show than I do. I haven't watched the show like that, so you guys are ahead of me. So I'll find out through the fans of the show. But to that question, I think it was just that we're talking about a guy who he is at times a reactionary kind of a guy. So that's why when it came down to him and just with the news that he had, that's one person the therapist was like one person who actually kind of got through to Marvin in a real way. So she was the first person that really made him feel safe to say, yo, guess I have this breakthrough that you were a part of indirectly, directly. So here it is. So I don't even think that's part of the problem with Marvin. Marvin sometimes can't quite see past his nose, because if he did, he wouldn't have got Kanan caught up and these other things. Sometimes Marvin is just reactionary, which is why London as a person is always pushing people to slow down and process. A lot of times people just react. And when we react or respond out of emotion, we tend to negate logic. And so there was a part of Marvin who was just like, yo, let me just go see someone that's safe and who he could trust. Was it the best move? I don't think Marvin quite anticipated the backlash of that. And Marvin, if you think about it, Marvin, this is another thing that people gotta understand. Marvin is always dolo. So there's a part of Marvin that is very comfortable with how he's moving. And so all of that is a part of how Marvin is moving, but he's working out this stuff. That's why every situation I think is going to cause him to begin to slow down and process a little bit and start to actually think forward. And because we haven't really seen him think forward in these couple of seasons, because Marvin is just a loose cannon a little bit.
Yeah. Okay, so Moochie, we want to come your way then.
All right. I do have a question. We see that you have the comedic chops, and I did watch some of your stand-up, which I thought was very funny. When you do some of those scenes, is it like the improv off the top of your head? Because it seems like you're just naturally funny.
A lot of that stuff is, which is interesting for me because Marvin on paper isn't the comedic relief necessarily. I would probably say the Puerto Rican cat, AJ, who plays Famous, he's like that bright spot on the show. But the reason that people are getting this comedic stuff from Marvin is because London has made a conscious decision not to get lost in the sauce. Like, the show is so talented. Let me start off by, I nicknamed her the Queen, but Patina Miller is such you can't deny her. And I know this, right? You got her, you got veteran Omar Epps, who's gonna do what he gonna do. You got Joey. Joey he got his fan base. Like, everybody has a thing. Haley is killing it vocally. You got Lulu with his romantic side that he be bringing with all the women on the show. Everybody got so when we did the table read day one, I said, okay, I was able to kind of get a vibe for everybody. I said, okay, people, I'm working with some actors who got something to bring. no problem. What I've decided to do is just make sure that I brought my skill stuff to the table, so that, again, so I don't get lost in the sauce. I'm not trying to just be what people thought I was. Oh, he's just the uncle that eats and irresponsible. I know they're being introduced to me as an actor, being introduced to Marvin as a character. I know people don't know what's in my bag. It's cool. I don't mind being slept on. I welcome that challenge. But I knew that I was going to make Marvin with lots of layers. And so that emotionally, you don't know what Marvin you finna get when you watch a scene.
Yeah.
He might be funny. He might be eating. He might be getting checked by rocks. He might be checking somebody. And also because of therapy, that creates a whole other layer. Now with therapy, we got to watch Marvin and say, is he gonna apply his techniques, or he finna go and do something else? But with the comedic stuff, a lot of that stuff is just, that's my theater training. So I don't really think about that stuff. I'm just trying to be very, very present, because Marvin isn't being funny in all the scenes. But when I find pockets in there, those things just kind of, I don't know, those natural beats just kind of find themselves there. And fortunately, they've been keeping all the stuff. So a lot of the memes and the things that have been going viral have been the stuff that I've added that just have been improvised. So I'm glad people, are finding a bright spot when they see Marvin. So that's cool.
Yeah, it is. And I gotta tell you, it's working, because that scene that you had with the fiend that was coming through the building and he was trying to figure out why y'all wasn't open yet, I hollered at you in that scene. I mean, that was hilarious.
Yeah, all I say with those two characters, just stay tuned in with those characters. That's what I'm saying. It's so many other characters. As I think we got like 2 episodes left. But there's still some other relationships that haven't even been introduced or necessarily exposed yet. So people got to stay tuned, man. It's going to be interesting.
Okay. All right. So Miss K, I'm going to come to you next.
Yes, thank you. Hi, London. So I just want to say real quick that you're my favorite character. So I was hoping so much. This is a great surprise for me.
Listen, if you need a little gas money, you can just ask me. Don't you got
Trust me, probably the majority of people on this panel know, and I talk about it all the time. You're my favorite character. So, and I understand the layers. Even that whole situation with Jukebox, I was trying to take up for Marvin, like, y'all gotta understand him, like it's not like that, you know what I'm saying? So I say all that to say I've been watching you since you were Reggie on Ballers, and he was something else on there. So to see the transition from Reggie to Marvin, I was very interested, and you have not disappointed. So you went from, I think, like my number 3 spot or 2 spot to my number 1 spot. So but I have a 2-part question.
Okay.
And it goes like this, like everybody's talking about how, so I'm surprised to find out that you're not intentionally the comedic relief, because I think for everybody on here, you are, right? So it's funny that it's not written that way, but have you ever had to go from one extreme to the next, where you have to shoot a scene where you're being funny, Marvin, and then all of a sudden you have to do the scene where, let's say you're with Kenya, and we can see that you are going through these emotions where you're angry and you're hurt at the same time, which Marvin you do such a great job at showing. Have you ever had to go through that? Like, all right, we need you to shoot this scene over here where he's funny. Then you got to hurry up and go shoot this scene over here with LaToya, when you got to be like this, right? And if you have done that, what does it take and where do you have to draw from?
I remember one scene that comes to mind was season 1, episode, I believe it was 9, or I believe episode 8. This is when Rock has to kick Marvin out the group. So in that same scene, something really quick was when we have our guys with us, and they are repairing or fixing the place or getting it ready. And I just said something like, "Hey, y'all, man, y'all gotta leave. Come on, dumb DMC," whatever it was. Went from that in the same scene to me having to get chastised by rock. So when that stuff happens, the best way for me to do it is, especially with anything emotional, I just try to be very, very present, you know, because I know some versions of method acting are, for some actors their choice would be when they have to cry or something, they think about losing a family member or going through some traumatic thing in their life, and they bring that. I don't really pull from that. That's not my experience. Mine is just really just trying to listen and respond accordingly, you know. So this means, you know, as best I can, try to be very, very present, really listening, not waiting for my cue line, you know, because if we wasn't present, you guys wouldn't follow us along. That's why when you guys follow these characters, and you sometimes you'll laugh with Marvin, sometimes people cry when there's a certain scene or there's the laugh in a certain scene. If we wasn't really there, you guys wouldn't be able to follow us. The reason that people cry or they laugh, you know, when they watch the show is because the actors are tapping into something very real. And so for whatever that hour is, people forget that this is just acting and they really get involved. Hence why, you know, the funny memes that are going around now, you know, hey man, if they get rid of Marvin, I'm gonna talk to 50 Cent and I'm hold on. So but people are involved now. But that's always something that I want to do, is just bring people along emotionally, so that, again, going back to the jukebox scene, people will, because if it wasn't layered right, when Marvin had that scene with jukebox, the fans of the show would have written Marvin off completely if they didn't think there were some other things going on with him that say, you know what, we don't agree with what he did. He was wrong. But man, we sure hope he pulls through this. And it's cool that people want to see a redemptive thing happen with Marvin, because Marvin actually is very human. Like you can't put Marvin in a box, because like many of us, we have our good days and bad days. Some days I know people who club all night on a Saturday, drinking and smoking and everything. But Sunday morning they get up and they pray and they go to church. Those are the layers that I try to incorporate with when someone like Marvin, so that, you know, because we do know people like that. It's not even a bipolar thing. It's just different people create or give us different energy. That's why sometimes a woman can have a date over. She'll have a date over and they having a glass of wine, chilling, and then her kids come out the room saying, "Mom, can you give me something to eat?" Get in, sit down. And she go right to that and eat back to her man. So it's not a Marvin thing. This is a human thing of being able to find these things so that we go from one extreme to the next. But as long as it's grounded to the truth, then it never seems out of place. It don't seem like, how did that work? I try to keep Marvin very grounded to honesty.
Yeah.
Well, I can say this,
Excellent job.
and I can say this for you, London, is when she spit in your face, I think most Black folks said, "Oh, she crossed the line."
Yeah.
You don't spit in nobody's face, particularly a brother or even a sister, because you know that'll get you killed on a lot of street corners. You don't be spitting in nobody's face, and I think that's where we all came to your rescue, in the sense of,
okay,
you know what I'm saying? Because we all talked about it and said, I don't know how I would have reacted if my daughter spat in my face like that. So you good.
That's what I'm saying. I have to listen to the people, because as an actor, I'm making choices, but I realize the fans of the show are able to connect dots I hadn't really thought about. Like someone pointed out to me, they was like, "Man, you ever notice like Marvin is always by himself?" And even as the show progresses, we see Rock really leaning towards her brother. I know everyone thought that Marvin was a mess up, but when something got to get done, there is no hesitation. Marvin's like, "Okay, just tell me where to go," and he's not thinking about it. Marvin isn't vacillating between if it's Lou and Marvin are two different brothers under the situation, but that's why I enjoy working with these guys, because we all bring a different thing to this family dynamic.
Okay. All right, Elton, you want to jump in with a question or comment?
Oh yeah. I think last night was probably the one time I actually wanted to see Marvin probably break the preacher's neck for hitting on hitting on Juke. I'm like this. Come on, Marvin, come through for me.
I heard a lot about that scene too, especially from parents who have kids who are LGBT. So like that, I saw someone send me a clip. I still haven't watched the show, but I saw a snippet of that. And that's wild, man. Like I didn't even know that scene was there.
Wow.
You know, again, because we shoot out of order. So Marvin almost kind of like has his own storyline within the story. So I'm busy trying to just lock in on my stuff. But that jukebox scene is, you know, but again, that's we got to give it up to Haley Kilgore for just, we felt whatever hit we felt, we was like, whoo.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
heavy scene.
Yes. Okay. And is that your only comment, Elton?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's roll over to Nita.
Hey, London. I'm so happy to be on the panel. I watch all of your lives, so I know how active you are going live on Instagram and stuff like that. So I always enjoy your lives. I knew you was gonna be here one time because I was like, you know, he's so active. I can see him coming on this show again, rather, because I know you was here last season as well. So kudos for you. And also too, I just want to, you know, gush about your performance and your character arc. You and Jukebox have the best storyline, hands down.
Yeah.
Hands down. Mm-hmm. And so with that, I don't know, I just want to go with these discussion, you know, I just really want to just emphasize how enjoyable your character makes the show. Mm-hmm. And so you definitely, I did want to write you off last season, but you have been the biggest redemption arc, and I've been so proud of how they wrote it and how they handled it. I think they did an excellent job, the writers, and of course the actors who execute. Yeah. I was wondering, do you think that you and Rock are in a better place than last season?
I think that I think we're in a better place by default, because I'll be honest with you, when I first got the script, and we don't get the scripts like way ahead of time. So like we get the scripts almost like a day before we actually have to shoot that particular episode. So it's really brand new to us. And I say that because they're doing constant rewrites all the time. So you can't even really get married to the script in that way. But in season 1, I really thought the roles were going to be switched. I thought Marvin was really going to be unreliable throughout, you know. But for us to make the transition for Rock and Marvin to get closer, again, it just shows that there's a part of Rock that understands that Marvin is not always righteous, you know, or you know, on top of his stuff, but he is there. So he isn't above approach, you know what I mean? And Marvin knows also too that Rock is at the core of her. She is a solid leader. She gets stuff done. I'm not saying that everything she does is right, but she gets whatever wrong done right. So, you know, which is an interesting oxymoron, but the fact that those two are being able to connect the way they do, again, is because we talking about Lou, who's been so distracted between music and women and stuff like that. That's why I really like what Malcolm is doing with his stuff, because again, it just shows these brothers are really, really different. So Rock needs somebody, you know, because even with Rock, her transformation, people thought that Rock was just solid, strong Black woman who just has to take the load of running everything. But Rock has been like a puppet master. She has been delegating and from her son to her brothers and everything else. She is, so Rock's as a character, she's a genius in how she manipulates and get it all handled. But at the same time, again, there is a loyalty between the two, because Marvin is the older sibling, but he understands how to take orders, and she understands that he's reliable. You know what I mean? so I think that that storyline moves forward, people are going to see more of the connection between those two, because again, Marvin will be there. And he doesn't hesitate when it's time for Marvin to put the body, get rid of the body. That part he got respect. Putting them in the wall, that might not have been the thing to do, but he did it. He didn't hesitate, and you know he got it done. But Marvin's that kind of guy by any means necessary. That's why, as we spoke about, people always talking about the car crash. He was saving his nephew and saving his brother. Cars don't mean nothing to him. Family is the thing that's driving Marvin through all his actions, and that's why I think people tend to ignore that side. But if you understand that Marvin's loyalty is more important than anything, then all the mess ups make sense.
Yeah. Okay, Hassan, you want to jump in next?
Absolutely. What's up, my brother? How are you today?
All right, brother.
I wanted to ask a question too. What city are you from?
LA.
LA. Okay. So transitioning to playing this role from someone from New York in the 80s, like, did you channel anyone? Did you watch Paid in Full? Did you go back to any old New York movies to tap into that 80s New York kind of thing that was going on?
For me, I was always a fan of a lot of classic movies anyway, like Paid in Full, anything from Juice, Paid in Full, New Jersey Drive, you know, New Jack City. I was always just a fan of the vibe anyway. And as far as music, I know I listened to a lot of Nas, a lot of Jay-Z's first album. But what also kind of helped me tap into this was, you know, I was a big fan of Denzel. So just of his work. But because of me being a fan of his work very early on, I would go to school. I remember in high school, I would go to school and I would, you know, this before I knew this was a thing or some sort of gift or something. I remember I would go to school and be like, yo, did y'all see, I remember at the time when I first saw Malcolm X, and I just couldn't believe that he wasn't Malcolm X. Like my reference was strongly him. And so when I saw, I was like, man, did you see how he said, nigga, don't you ever say anything against my wife. Against? You know, so whatever that was, that's where the voice started to develop. Because just to articulate and form those words that he would call instead of saying a car. I parked my car and I moved it over there. So vernacular started to develop. I had that kind of in my pocket, but then I also made sure that I just, when I got here, I moved in the hood just so I can be in the mix of trying to just breathe in, you know, the culture and everything like that. So all of that kind of helped, man. I always kind of keep some stuff. I'm always listening, you know, to really take the energy in.
Because New York is a different place. That's why I was wondering. Yeah. So I'm assuming now that Denzel is your favorite actor.
Yeah, Denzel is. I mean, I just think as far as, and at this point, you know, we want to see Denzel do Denzel. It don't matter what he's doing. You know, park the car. We don't care. We don't matter what he's playing. But you know, just the groundedness in his choices, you be like, man, we all know what Denzel's gonna do, but we just like his choices. I mean, when you think about just making solid choices and just believing all the stuff, everything from the one teardrop, you know, like of course only Denzel can cry out of one eye. Like who does that? It's hard to tears to go up his face. Denzel is, you know, he's that guy. So, but just really trying to make good choices is some of those things that I would take from Denzel. Just like, man, just making sure that every scene is real, is honest, you know, to the core while capturing the essence of 1991 in Southside Jamaica, Queens.
Nice.
Okay. Ron H., you up next?
All right. I got a comment and a question. And let me just say, London, I said I was going to make it a point. Every time I come on the spot, I'm going to keep saying the special guest is London, and then boom, it's going to happen. So it happened. I'm happy about it, man.
Yes, absolutely. I appreciate you for listening, man.
Yeah, man. Thank you for being here. First off, this might sound crazy. You know, I was very late to Ballers. I was home on vacation and I was binge watching. And so I really didn't know too much about the show, even though people were talking about it. So I watched a lot of Ball. I'm not done with it. I'm still, I don't know if I'm in season 3 or whatever, but
Sure.
The fact that you are Reggie and you are Uncle Marv, I could not believe it. First, they had to tell me on the spot that you played Reggie. I was like, what? And then I looked back, I was like, that is him. I couldn't believe it. So the transition between the characters and how you played both of them phenomenally, might I add, is fantastic. And I want to give you much praise and very big kudos. So you're doing a fantastic job. My question to you is, I was watching The Crew Has It, and Haley Kilgore was on the show that day, and she said that you did something that I thought was phenomenal. She said that the epic scene between you and her, I believe she said that you knew about it before she knew about it, and so you made it a point of emphasis, because I see that now. I see your level of authenticity. You made it a level, a important statement that you were going to try to separate yourself from her and not get too much of a close dynamic, so that when that scene happened, it was very organic and natural. So I just wanted you to speak to that, if that's, that statement is correct of how I'm saying it, and what made you think about doing it that way, because I think that scene was so powerful, and if that's the case, and you knew that ahead of time, you tried to keep your distance. It's a phenomenal, thought. I can't believe it.
I got to watch her interview. I didn't know she spoke on it. For me, we didn't know, like I said, we don't know the episodes ahead of time. Only thing I knew, starting off with just that Jukebox and Marvin have a really out of place relationship. At the time, we didn't quite know why. I remember asking the head writer, Sasha Penn, he was just like, yo, man, you kind of been out of her life. Rock's been having to take care of her, so you're kind of back in her life now, but you guys aren't necessarily seeing eye to eye. That was about all I had to go off of. So that, amongst the cast, there is this kind of running joke how I'm antisocial. And it's not so much that I'm antisocial, I just like being home, or I'm pretty dolo in real life. But as far as the character, with understanding that with Haley, once I realized that that the characters weren't really seeing eye to eye, I did just try to keep distance from her, because all of that stuff just helps. It doesn't help if I went, having dinner with them every night and went, bowling into the movies and then trying to create space. I just wanted to create real space. So when we shot that scene, that was like our first time really engaging with each other. So it was an awkward, some awkward energy, not in a bad way, but it was just kind of like having to get comfortable with each other. We got to get physical. It's just like with the Thomas family, what makes this really interesting and why I'm glad we were able to click. If we were playing college students on the first day of school, the characters didn't know each other. That would work well with us not knowing each other in real life. But we, the Thomas family, we got years and we grew up together. So I'm glad that as a family unit, it worked as actors to play familiarity. But with Juke, again, I just want to just keep the distance so that, when I got to say this stuff, it's just, I don't feel no type of way. London doesn't come through. I just say what I got to say, and I can be physical with her without having to feel like, oh man, you okay? I just do the stuff. And then, of course, safety is always the first concern. But I just want to live in that truth for real, for me, So I think it played well.
Yeah, it was phenomenal. I applaud you for thinking that way, because it's evident and shows on screen. I think we all appreciate it.
Awesome, man.
Yep. All right, Monique. Thank you for patiently waiting.
Of course. Hello, London. Nice to meet you. So basically, I just want to sing your praises. I have truly gained an appreciation for your character. I liked Marvin season 1, but I love Marvin season 2. Everything really, from your comedic relief to the, the emotional scenes, we as the viewer, we feel that, we see it, we feel it, and I appreciate it. So just thank you for bringing Marvin to life.
No, I appreciate it. Thank you, man.
Yes.
Okay, so you didn't have a question? Or
My
you
question
just wanted
was already
to
asked, so yeah, just
Oh,
wanted to-
okay. All right, well then, thank
I
you.
have a follow-up question. Tiara,
Sure.
can I say? Marvin, not Marvin, London, do you think that the writers will give us a little bit more of your family dynamic, the backstory with the mom? Do you think we'll see something, get some more nuggets that we can kind of?
I think so. I mean, because, well, first of all, and thank you, Monique. I appreciate you, because I mean, again, you only hope that people connect with your work on screen, man, and because again, I know that, and I'm gonna get to your question too in just a moment. Sure. So with a show like this, people feel like, okay, well, since it's power, people are automatically gonna like Raising Kanan, but at the same time, you do have those fans, but then you also got some people that say, okay, what's this Raising Kanan about? Let's get to it. And a lot of us are new faces or unfamiliar faces. Of course, Omar got his fan and Joey and Bettina and so forth, but a lot of people who may not have seen Ballers or know other stuff that we've done. So we're fighting through all of that. So for people to want to embrace the show, and it's really dope and appreciated. And then also again with Marvin, man, I just appreciate people who've been being able to find something to like. So thank you for that. And to your question about the family, they introduced the mom, I think, in season 1. And so I believe there's still some, without giving too much away, I think they're definitely going to start touching on the Thomas family as a unit and where we come from. And I hope that they begin to, I would like them to really go into that some more as well, because I think it would really explain why the kids are the way they are. You know what I mean? Like people don't just become these things. This is a process of becoming this. And just like we're watching the evolution of Kanan, because people are trying to figure out how the Kanan from Power is going to connect to this young Kanan. But even with his character, you see season 1, I remember I helped him at the stash house and he saw a little blood and he threw up. Now fast forward, he pistol with it. Like, so, cats are growing in different ways. And you got Marvin, who's going through his therapy session. So he's evolving. So as the characters evolve, it would be nice to find out more again about our mom and pops and what caused that strange situation. Because even with Jukebox, we had to slowly introduce Jukebox mom, played, lovely by LaToya Luckett, because people were trying to figure, well, wow, what's all this stuff Marvin got, within himself that's causing. But I think between those conversations that Marvin had with her, people was able to say, oh, shoot, low key mom still might be hurt behind her leaving in this. Oh, is that the reason why Jukebox and he had to go to prison? So these dots are all formulated very slowly and very skillfully by the writers. Because again, if we I remember people, the thing that we get a lot of times at the top of the season is, y'all starting off slow. Good storytelling starts off slow.
That's true.
If the season started off with me, with Marvin and Jukebox in that fight, you're like, whoa, wait a minute. We gotta build, we gotta introduce different characters and stories and weave stuff in so that you say, oh, and if people really pay attention, they drop clues throughout the episode, real subtle things. Like you might see a character, he may only have one line, and then you look up 2 episodes later, you're like, oh, that one line was actually the clue to that. the writers are really good, especially on Raising Kanan, with sewing these storylines very seamlessly together. So yes, question, I think they're going to definitely explore some more of that. How much, I don't know necessarily, but I know that was some talks about that because they've already done it.
Okay. Yeah.
Giving away, right? I want to say one more thing, right? But given, like, in regards to Marvin, which is breaking my heart, right? You know, he finally finds someone, not giving away too much, that sparks his interest, that, you know, he's becoming a better man, and help him become a better man and tap into who Marvin really is. And like he lose her. Like why?
We don't know that.
We don't know
We don't
that.
know that yet.
Sure.
Speculation.
Yeah, we don't know.
It's speculative. We don't know.
Well, you know, that's the thing I keep telling people. They're asking me. I'm like, well, you have a few scenarios. You got the idea that some people will say both of them are gone. Some people will say, okay, well, maybe Marvin just got shot, or maybe just the therapist got shot. Then we have, well, maybe Marvin's injured, but she's dead, or they just both injured. So we don't, because right now we just know they fall out of frame.
Right.
We don't know where. That's why we gotta watch the episode. We gotta see where it pick up.
Right. We don't know.
That's all from, that's how they set it up. We don't know if Marvin got up, and we don't know where they fell to. All of that stuff is part of the thing. So, so to what you're saying, we don't. And I say we because I haven't watched the show. 2, we shoot out of order. No pun intended. So because we shoot out of order, I don't really know what's quite going on. And then also between edits, we do several takes of a scene. That's why I'm always glad when I see my choices making the cuts, because that's not, I do lots of versions of whatever scripted so that they have what they have. And then what usually happens is they give me a couple of takes. They say, okay, well, do what you feel. I say, okay, no problem. So I don't know what versions they're going to keep. They do a couple outtakes of different things. So I don't know.
Look, I can tell you if Marvin don't make it through, it's going to be a riot.
Right. Hey, I don't believe that. I'm not even claiming that.
Marvin gotta
that
make it. He gotta make it.
We know
Marvin
that you made it through. I don't think Miss Renee is probably gonna make it.
Yeah, that's what I'm like. He finally get in tune with somebody that could possibly help him transition into being, because loners are leaders. So Marvin's a leader. He's, that's what I believe.
I don't think that she, and I wanted to say it a little earlier. I think Renee is, she's just there for the moment. I think you like her. It's obvious that you do, but I'm not sure if that's the one for you. What I see in Marvin is very myopic. And what I do see from this last episode, there's going to be hell to pay if Marvin ain't dead. So, it's going to be very interesting to see how Marvin handles what happened in episode 8. And I'm going to tell you, I cannot wait to see what happened in episode 8.
I think Marvin will be in the cut. I think they're going to make him think.
No. I think
they're going to let him think he's dead.
You know why? I don't think he's going to be in the cut because, Marvin, you tend to act off of, you're spontaneous. Even though you may be doing wrong, but at that moment, if there's nobody there to stop you, it's a fait complete. It's done.
Right?
I think Rock is gonna come up with a plan. I mean, looking at the previews, I saw Lou with the gun. I think they're gonna let the Italians think that Marvin is dead, but Marvin gonna be in on the plan. Get at the Italians. That's my prediction. London. I don't know if it's true or not. I'm just throwing it out there.
People gotta understand too. Marvin, again, one thing I like about Marvin isn't a guy. He's not chasing women. I know people think he's a loose cannon, but Marvin is not just in these streets trying to holler at everybody.
Right.
Because people felt like initially there was this thing with like, oh man, Marvin's gonna get with the therapist. I'm like, listen, who giving who the eye? Marvin is just in class. Marvin is a naturally well put together, charming guy. He ain't got to be flirting all the time and all this stuff. Marvin is just being Marvin, and he eat the way he eat. He talked the way he talked. And, you know, for the Miss Renee, I think that she was just attracted to this. She was attracted to what she saw and then who she know he is at his heart. So to what you're saying, yeah, I do. It's like, wow, because they seem like they were just about to click, at least according to the graduation scene where she was like, yo, here's the number. Even if people go back to that scene, they'll catch Marvin's reaction. Marvin was even thrown by that. And, you know, I don't think Marvin even thought that she was flirting with him throughout the situation. Because, and this is my storyline with Marvin, but Marvin is used to women. So it's not, women are not a thing like they are for Lou's character. Lou's character is, he moving. Marvin a little older. So when you get a little older, some things you kind of settle into, you know, the thing. That's why, and to come out of this, but this is why sometimes my friends will say, you know, oh, women they're like, oh man, how women with you about the show? And I have to tell them, I said, it's not London that women are really looking at, but I know a lot of women are into the idea of Marvin. Like there's something about a guy that has a gun who can cry. I don't take that stuff personal. It's not like people are looking at me. I know that people, in the same way where I remember when I watched Love Jones, shout out to my guy, Lorenz Tate.
Yes.
As a guy, there's a thing that guys have when you watch, that's why it works for both parties. Like the guys want to be Lorenz's character, and then cats want to be Neil Long, or girls want to be Neil Long's character. Like there's something about how nice that storyline is for both characters. You see your stuff. And so I think that's all it is. I think that, you know, she was just swooned by him just being very transparent with himself in the class. He wasn't trying to flirt with her. He was just being Marvin.
But he went out to eat with her. That was a little date. So I don't think it was all on Miss Renee.
But
No, she called it like it was a personal little meeting, one-on-one, because he wasn't opening up.
Yeah.
that's the thing. When they went on the date, it wasn't like Marvin was like, man, listen, so man, you really wearing the hell out that dress. Marvin had a little piece of toast. And, you know, Marvin gonna be dressed when he go. But that was most everything to show up and smell good. Yeah, y'all can't smell Marvin, but Marvin smells incredible.
What is Marvin wearing then?
Right.
What type of cologne is Marvin wearing?
Marvin is wearing some original. Marvin wears oil. You know, Marvin ain't wearing nothing from no mall with all that alcohol in it. Marvin is a very put together posh guy.
Yeah.
Just got some inner demons he got to work out. Due to some past stuff, probably due to some parent stuff that would be, as I'm saying, be great to explore how his father was, to see that they get any of this stuff from the father. Because even when you look at Juke, low key, if people pay attention, Juke really is like Marvin. Like, if you notice, Juke is not a slouch. Like, you're not gonna run over Juke. She's very strong. She's very strong, very solid. Don't be doing too much talking. If you notice Juke, and somebody my friend had to point this out. If you notice Juke is just like Marvin. That's why I like what she's doing and what these writers are doing. But these are backstories that actors have to find. Right. But she be dolo all the time too. She be late at night, she be by herself. Yeah. Kanan got his boy with him. He got his boy Famous. And then Lou always with women and stuff like that. But Juke is solo, Marvin is solo. So it'd be nice to find out if the father maybe was kind of like that, or where Rock gets some of her foundation from. And you know, we saw the mother, and that was an interesting kind of a thing. So it's like, well, is that why she kind of took Juke under her arm, because she knows what her and her mom's relationship was? We don't know. So these are things that it'd be really cool for them to explore going forward, and I think they're going to.
Yeah. Hey, one more thing.
We all like.
There's one thing though, Marvin. I want to know, why'd you have to go kill the white girl? I mean, knowing Marvin,
she was a snitch though.
I know, but just help me out. Why? I mean, why'd you have to go? I mean,
she snitched.
Okay.
She put him in the bang.
Is that the sole reason?
I think she did.
That's
You know,
payback.
it's a couple things. Like, again, people got to understand, especially with Marvin, but I want to say the Thomas family, we're not the ones necessarily going around picking fights and just starting stuff. We will respond to it accordingly. It's just disrespect. It's a street code. And so with Marvin, again, with her trying to get with the wire and him trying to, her trying to set him up, Marvin didn't do anything out of pocket. Marvin said, hey, he's going to engage with her so he can use that place for business. It's just business. But when she started going and moving out of pocket, it's disrespectful. So, but also, when you think about the retaliation that the Thomas family has, it's because anybody we've retaliated against was they put themselves in a compromising position to ultimately interrupt what we got going on. So if we go back to Kanan's friend, he was going to interrupt business. When we think about Tony, ultimately he was going to interrupt business. When we think about Scrap, even though we come to find out later that it wasn't true, he was going to compromise.
Deserve that.
Everything back to we don't have any room for anything that's going to compromise the business that's already shaky. You know, we're already losing spots and trying to gain. So anything that's disrespectful to the family, people got to be accountable for that. So has she moved right? Marvin, she was out of pocket. Marvin just responding to it. That's all.
What I'm eager to see. If Scrap Mom is going to come back and do some stuff that's going to cause harm to the family. Scrap Mom, like, if she don't do something about it, I'm going to do something about it.
I don't, you know, that's what's wild about it. I don't know, because again, even with that, people felt like people was coming at me, you know, why Marvin and Lou get rid of, I'm like, listen, we following orders. Marvin is very just going with the logic of everything. Again, he's not emotional, he's not feeling no type of way. Lou didn't want to do it. Marvin didn't want to do it either, but Marvin just, what's the business? And so even when they had to take him there, the brothers they were very melancholy about it. They didn't want to be in there, but Rock calls it. You know, that's why people got to really start looking at Rock.
We are looking at Rock. We are looking at Rock.
You know, everybody, I'm like, she's running all of it.
We are looking at Rock.
Trust. We be looking at Rock.
She gets it all. She gets the yes queen and your bugging queen and all that.
Yeah, I call her the master manipulator.
Yeah, I have a question now since I didn't have one before. So London, you mentioned a couple times that you have not seen the episode yet. So I'm curious to know, do you go back and watch the episodes? Because for some actors, it's a thing where they don't like to see themselves back on screen. So I was curious.
Yeah, for me, I don't have that kind of complex, because I do stand up, so I got to watch my sets every night. You know, I'm always going back, and so whatever that feeling is, I got over that years ago. You know, because I gotta watch my material, see what works, and take notes and all that stuff. So, but what happens is we finished shooting the show months prior to when you guys see it. So I'm just removed from it. So by the time it comes out on a Sunday night or what have you, I'm studying for the next work day. So I'll get around to it. Maybe if I was around family and friends like that, then I would have a big viewing thing and do something every week. I'm by myself, so I don't think about it. I'm cooking and going live or something, you know.
But you're doing your white tea talks,
right?
I've seen
or something. I'm not really just sitting watching, because I don't know, watching it by myself. You know, who I'm gonna do? Give a high five to myself? It's like I don't know.
You can watch yourself for the future, just the same way for your comedy. You know what I mean? To see your work and
so yeah, I'm gonna get around to it. I'm gonna get around to it. But usually, what also helps is that people send me clips and I repost them. So you know, they'll watch the clip and do commentary on it, or they'll put something on the story. So I'll kind of know what's going on. I'm like, oh yeah, you know, or they'll ask questions about this scene and ask questions about if it was improvised or how that happened, and then I kind of catch up on the show that way. But I can hear the energy, so I guess people are enjoying it. So it lets me know. I guess I'm kind of in the right space of it anyway.
Definitely
Yeah.
doing a good job.
And Elton, you look like you might have come
Yeah.
up with the question. So let's let Elton close us out.
Yeah, I actually got two questions. I actually noticed earlier you actually said Denzel's your favorite actor. So actually, how was that working with his son on Ballers? And also, sort of like the scene I was talking about, that actually came out of nowhere because I don't think, going back to episode 7, they actually shared that Juke was a lesbian with her mother. So how did they get to that?
Okay, so to the first question, working with JD, John David Washington, he was cool, you know. Again, fortunately, both these shows, you know, there aren't any egos on the show. That helps the chemistry immaculately, because when it gets weird like that, it just throws things off, you know. But JD was cool, man. He was cool. Of course, I wanted to just sit up there and ask him a bunch of questions. I'm like, man, so what your dad eat for breakfast? Like, what kind of cereal? I wanted to ask him, but I was like, he probably get that all day. So I'm gonna just chill. And I just kept to myself and my whole thing is always just to be professional, get my work done, hit my marks, and then I stay out the way. And then as far as, so you're asking about the question, we said, how we get to the storyline about Juke, or what was your question?
Because when actually Juke walked in with her mother, that's how they got to she's a lesbian, she is going to hell, but that was really never doing
They didn't
any
show
other
it.
scenes.
Like,
So I'm
how did they
we
find
get
out?
Yeah, I'm like, how do we get here? Maybe I missed something.
I think I gotta go back, but I think there was I felt like there was maybe the reveal happened through her not having a boyfriend. I gotta go back and find it out. Maybe you can DM me, I can try to figure that out. But I think there was something where it was revealed to the mom that her daughter wasn't into boys in that kind of way. So not necessarily that she was gay, she just wasn't in no relationship and stuff like that. So that's why even with Marvin, you gotta think too, man, this is 91. It wasn't as liberated then. So Marvin didn't even know, he wasn't even quite sure what he was saying. He was a little confused. He don't even know what to call him. He old school, he don't know. He just know, I don't know what this is, but it ain't what I'm used to seeing. So, you know, what's up? You know, that's why I think it hit the parents in two, no pun intended, hit the parents in two different ways. You know, the mom was on the spiritual side and Marvin was on an emotional side. He didn't know what was going on. They both was trying to figure it out. And that's why we gotta, you know, even when we approach people, if we gotta be it's important to use a lot of gentility when trying to confront anything that we may not understand. Because again, I think a lot of times people condemn those who are in that lifestyle. And I'm like, well, let's just say, if your idea was to, for lack of a better term, try to convert them back to what some may be, what some would consider normality, do you think coming at them with Leviticus this and this and coming at them on this level is going to make them feel even open to hearing you? And I think a lot of times, that's why even with the white tea talks, it's important that I dabble some sort of humor within these conversations so people can hear me. Because this isn't about, when I know that I'm trying to help people and just put people on, because some people just don't know. But if I came at them from a place above them and not with them, they wouldn't be able to hear it. So that's why I have to do a funny voice. I gotta cut the clip up and zoom in, zoom out. And I gotta lighten this up so that, because ultimately it's not about me just being heard, but rather I would like for them to digest these ideas as snacks to eat. So, but I gotta make it palatable. I gotta sprinkle a little salt and put a little this, and then I serve it. So people say, oh, okay. And they get it, and sometimes don't even know they got it. But the whole idea is so that people get it. So when it comes to Juke, I'm like, again, that's why Marvin had to get into the class and say, okay, I don't know about that. Let me calm down and slow down so that I can at least have a conversation with my daughter about what I don't understand or what I need to hear. But he didn't get it and initially, and clearly the mom didn't get it because that just turned her all the way. That turned the daughter totally off. And that was just a crazy approach. That was crazy, man. That was wild.
That was tough.
Yeah.
Could I just say something? 10 seconds. I don't want to take too long. To the point. I think hey, London, I wanted you here, man. I can't stop.
Good.
I think it was they were giving us little nuggets here and there. And if you guys remember, I know when I was young, around that time, you didn't have to do much for people to assume. So any female who was playing sports, dressing with the baggy clothes, looking more like a tomboy, you got these narratives were developed. And I think a thing that Juke's mother witnessed, there was other little things that happened, but especially when they were on the street shopping and she ran into the old friends and they were like, who knew Juke could look like, you know what I mean? Like when they said that, I think that kind of played into everything.
Yeah.
That's true.
That's the point.
Yeah. Well, London, thank you so much for taking time to chat with us again. As you can tell, we love your character, so we're truly grateful for you taking your time out to talk with us.
No, man, I appreciate you guys. I'm telling you, man, you just, shows like this, man, you can only hope that, you do something that people can appreciate, man. You don't know, man, because sometimes, especially as an actor, man, or as an artist, you go just through all the rejection of the no's, just through the auditions and stuff like that. So by the time you actually get on a project, it's cool to just be simply appreciated. That's why when I run into people on the street, I try to take a photo and give them that moment or that thing, because I know what it's like to you just want to be heard or seen. So I appreciate you guys for making me feel heard and seen.
Oh, you are always so down to earth, and everything. And so we always enjoy talking to you, and we just wish you the best. I mean, I wanted to ask you, I know you're always doing your stand-up. I know when we saw you were doing stand-up in LA, and I know you've been working a lot now. Are you planning to do any more stand-up in New York?
Yeah,
Philly.
I'm working on a date pretty soon, but our shooting schedule so up and down, it's hard to kind of book anything because they change up. But I am working on something because the cast and the crew want to come out.
Yeah.
So I'm working on something maybe for Caroline's on Broadway. So,
okay, cool. We said we were gonna pull up.
All right, I'm working on it. I really want to put something together and get people out so I can really do some time and stretch. So yeah, we'll be in touch then. That'd be great.
Okay.
I come to Philly. All right. We love you in Philly. That's all.
And I would love to get out there too. I got to connect with somebody in Philly for that. That'd be dope, man.
I'm gonna inbox you. I got you.
Okay.
All right, London. Thanks again, and you're welcome back anytime.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Hold up, I shoot my shot. Wait, hold up. I'm really about to run this go up. You know it's all net when it go up. Ain't got no other plans, you don't need to understand, ayy. We on overtime, you don't need to understand, ayy. You just show them how to do it when you don't know what to say. Tell me how you plan to win if you plan to play the shit. Moving fast, already gone, yeah, but you bringing me back. Try to double cross me, dog, just let me relax. Stop assuming what we